The scary wine-soaked. A terrifying event happened to my friend William when we were in high school. We were very small at that time, but what happened makes us never forget. We were also very close, so we frequently went out together. That day, William invited us to his house to play, but we were all so terrified to go. Just thinking about it gave me and my friend goosebumps. But when we heard that his family had recently purchased a new video game console, we forgot about our concerns. We were astonished and delighted to know that we would be able to play a new gaming console, so we immediately agreed and rushed to William's house. At the time, all of our families were farmers, and William's family was the wealthiest. His father frequently bought him many excellent toys. To us, these toys we can only see in dreams. William even advised us on the way that we should approach his house through the rear entrance. We don't understand why William has given such advice to us at first, but immediately, he explained. Because some things might terrify us if we went through the front door. I was concerned when I asked him whether his father slaughtered wild animals to soak wine. That was a little harsh. After all, for a kid like me at the time, to see animals killed and then put in a jar was something horrendous. Hearing this, William voiced his disgust with my demeanor, stating that it was his father's profession, and that the more wild creatures that were drenched in alcohol, the higher the price they would sell for. If not, then how can he get new toys? He added, if we don't like it, don't come to his home. Seeing that, we chuckled at the story and gradually entered William's house, and what made us not dare to go to William's house to play was his father, who worked as a brewer in a frightening style. Because there is always a lot of alcohol in William's house, the powerful odor of alcohol strikes the nostrils when the door was opened, but something else drew my attention. Those are large glass jars used to hold alcohol. It wouldn't be so frightening if William's father simply produced conventional wines, but he also produced wine from wild creatures. The wild animals were captured alive, placed immediately into the wine jar to drink the wine, and then drowned and perished, including snakes, pangolins, and monkeys. Sometimes I even see them looking at us with their eyes open, which gives me goosebumps. William's father even took owls and large geckos to soak in alcohol. And these wines were sold at exorbitant prices to the metropolis. I don't understand what these are special, that people buy them at this high price. After glancing around for a while, I got the impression that those wild white eyes were looking at me pitifully, which terrified me enough to close my eyes. But once we saw the gaming console, we forgot about our fears. We had a great time that day and nothing bad happened. That helped us gradually get used to it all and stop being frightened of it, so we began coming to William's house more often. That day after school, we went to his house again, and there were a lot of people in front of William's house surrounding it. It turned out that William's father had captured a very huge cobra, and it appeared that he wanted to soak it in wine. It was the first time anyone had seen such a large snake, and it was found deep in the forest, so everyone was intrigued and drew it back to examine it. When we entered the yard, we could see that the snake in William's father's hand was a very large cobra. The cobra glared angrily at William's father, and everyone warned him to be cautious with large snakes like these. But response to the announced attitude of the people around, William's father was not afraid. He also raised his voice that the people around were cowards. Then, as William and First went by, his father was ready to begin soaking the cobra in a jar of wine. We all feel worrisome for William's father. Seeing everything made me a bit terrified. But then I started playing the game and forgot about the snake. Strange things began to happen all of a sudden. William's character froze and no longer moved. When I saw that, I turned to question him, and saw William with his head down, making little coughing sounds. At this time I started to feel that Ben has something, but I don't know what's wrong with William. Then William's face turned purple and he coughed harder, his eyes were white, and his mouth was full of water. He began to choke, his lips continued to spew something murky yellow, and I began to detect a strong alcohol odor from him. It turned out that what came out of his mouth was booze, not water. I became increasingly scared, and I was at a loss on what to do. I'm scared. Alcohol is slowly flowing out of William's mouth. Now there's a small puddle of alcohol at his feet. Then William collapsed on the ground, his body splayed out as though lifeless. Seeing that William was no longer moving, First was about to go over to see how he was when suddenly his body jerked up. He was twisting and turning on the floor like a snake, the wine still flowing out of his lips non-stop, and the image in front of me was horrifying. Seeing that horrible scene left me frozen, not knowing what to do. William appeared weary after a time, laying on his back and motionless. His eyes were now white and lifeless. I dashed to the yard to inform William's father because I was so terrified that I couldn't talk coherently. William's father had just finished soaking the snake at this point, so he was still quite pleased, and seeing me terrified, he had no idea what was going on. But I can't hear what William's father says anymore, because my eyes are focused on the bottle of alcohol in front of William's dad. I was now staring at the snake in the wine jar. It looked just like William. Rather, its shape now resembles the position of William when he passed out. It also extended its jaws wide, became white in the eyes, and twisted its body. This was precisely what William was experiencing in there. First, didn't comprehend what was going on. My mind was a jumbled mess, and I simply stood there. After seeing my strange expression, William's father guessed something. Immediately, William's father came inside to see what was wrong with his kid at this time, and I was still standing there in terror. Everyone rushed inside the house. William was nearly unconscious, with a lot of alcohol coming out of his lips. Seeing that, William's father immediately rushed over and helped his son up. He was extremely panicked, just reached out and touched William's body. His mouth kept calling his name to wake him up. Seeing the scene in front of them, everyone started to notice the strangeness of William's posture right now. People surrounding William claimed he looked like a snake being drenched outside by William's father at the time. One of them also warned him that if he didn't release the snake, William'd suffocate. When he heard that, he ran out to the yard and quickly knocked over the bottle of wine on the table, hoping William would live. The wine bottle shattered on the ground. Fortunately, the snake was still alive. It remained motionless for a while before waking up. It crept directly towards the pile of firewood to escape after calculating the direction. Everyone who watched the event that day, including me, was obsessed. Since William stopped vomiting as soon as the snake was freed but did not wake up. Despite his father's efforts, William remained immobile. Now everyone can see that William's father's body is shaking. He was afraid that his son would not wake up again. Seeing this, everyone urgently requested that his father bring William to the hospital in order to rescue him in time, as he was concerned that William would die if he continued to do so. Hearing that, William's father seemed to regain his senses. Immediately he carried William quickly to the hospital. William was classified as intoxicated at the hospital by the doctor because he drank too much alcohol. But luckily, he was taken to the hospital in time, so it's not life-threatening. He slept for more than 2 days after that. I paid William a visit when he recovered consciousness and questioned him about what occurred that day and whether he remembered anything. William stated that while playing the game as usual, he suddenly detected a strong odor of alcohol in his nostrils. Then his entire body plunged into a large pool of wine, struggling but unable to swim, being further overpowered by alcohol. When he tried to look around, he discovered himself in a lake surrounded by translucent glass. When he looked out, he saw his father and many people laughing and pointing at him, as if William was shrinking. William felt the glass pane break just as he was ready to pass out from exhaustion and drowning in the water. Then I told him about the snake that his father had soaked in wine and left outdoors in the yard, looking precisely like what he had been doing that day. We were all terrified, William's father soon leaving the horror-brewing wine business.